This was not supposed to be like the skipping. They explained to us that when it comes to the question of who should skip or not skip, the safe way would be to skip, but they were wrong. So wrong. When we cast Purple out of the cabin, we heard no cheers, no sighs of relief. The cafeteria did not seem any safer. It just felt emptier, thinner. My ship was of opinion, as much as we were of opinion, that he was getting weary of us, just as we were getting weary of one another. And then there were three, just me, Yellow, and Black. The alarm stayed silent. No one called a meeting. The Skeld continued to hum a steady, low, constant thump, like as though it was looking over our shoulders and wondering when one of us would burst. It didn't have to wait long. Yellow was the first to crack. She always was. She had a trembling voice. Okay, just say it. In the event of two imposters, one of us is killed nowadays. Black didn't even look at her. His eyes were glued on the vent at weapons. Or, he said, with his low, steady voice, this is it where we are put to test. I did not like the sound of that word. Tested. It was not a scream of terror, but some sort of an experiment that was unhealthy. It would have been a mistake to go out alone, and so we took to our heels as a party, not because we trusted one another, but because going out alone at this stage was tantamount to signing your own death warrant. It happened as we were passing through medbay. The whole ship flashed red. Critical sabotage. Reactor meltdown. Yellow dashed this shrill, frightened laugh. Of course. It is always Reactor when things become serious. We ran along the corridor and the klaxons ringing in our ears. The second one, we were all locked out of the reactor room. The heavy doors had been closed behind us and we are trapped. The fog was full of steam squeaking out of the pipes, and the entire room was filled with an outraged and raging red light. Everything was just red. Black headed straight to the right side console. That is the one that can be dealt with by an individual. Yellow shook and her voice shook. No, we're not splitting up. That's how they get you. That's how this ends. I looked at the wall at the countdown timer. The seconds were simply bleeding to death. Unless we separate, I said, and kept on speaking as steadily as I could, we go all to pieces. Right here, right now. There was a grave silence, heavy, full of suspicion and fear. It was deliberate, calculated. Black wheeled and faced us with his helmet concealing any expression. Then this is the trust test. His gloved finger was extended towards the distant left-hand console. One of you goes over there, one of you stays here with me, and one of us waits. Her position was tensed, and Yellow looked at him. Why do you get to decide? At which I was not panicking, he said, and his voice was flat. And I haven't lied yet. Even that innocent remark was more chilling than had he begun to scream. It was like a wall between us, something none can refute. Yellow turned to me then. Her visor was only this bright and blank oval, and its reflection of the flashing red lights of the reactor. I felt her eyes upon me, and they were almost drilling holes through the suit. It was that type of glance which said, "You are going to see me go die all by myself." I gulped, the noise very pronounced in the relative silence. Going alone. It ran cold just to think of it. The clock blared its warning, and we knew there was no more time. Black stepped away out of his console. "Choose," he said. That one word was all it took. Yellow had gone, a sharp explosive rush of action. "Fine, I'll go. But come back I am not. Then you should not miss the vote." And with that, she ran. She ran all over the room, the heavy door behind her closing with a final reverberant thud. The countdown clock of the reactor was made to slow, not by much. It was working. Black let out a slow breath. Good. Now we wait. The only sound between us was that of the reactor, which was a persistent, penetrating humming. It felt too loud, too close. On the edge of my vision I could see Black. Then he stood quite still with his hands on the frame of the console. He was so calm. Always so damn calm. "You never shout," I said, and the words came out before I could get a hold on them. He gave a slight nod. "They are imposters," he said rather. "Crewmates endure." Or, I said to myself, Perhaps it is only that the imposters know how to remain quite still, otherwise they will expose themselves. He looked at me then, slowly and deliberately round his head. Die first, and loud crewmates, he said. Just then, the alarms cut off. The flashing red lights ceased. The reactor was stable. Yellow had done it. But she didn't come back. Her side of the room was still closed with a door that is sealed. My chest tightened. Open the door, I said. Black just shook his head. We open that door and we die next. A long moment passed. Then a voice broke over our comms. It was Yellow. Her voice was low and deformed by statical. Guys, I fixed it. Why isn't the door opening? I leaped at the door controls. Yellow, stay right there! But Black caught me in by the arm, and I was caught by a surprisingly strong grip. He shook his head again. Her voice came through once more, but this time it was different. Warped. Why are you two whispering? It's so cold in here. Her voice seemed to have a weird echo, a kind of stratification and surrealism, as of two signals passing through one another. Say what you told me just before I fled, the voice that was like Yellow required. Complete silence. Then another voice, yet more distinct, also that of Yellow. You said, don't skip again. Black let go of my arm. That's not enough, he muttered. The lights flickered once, twice, and the door swung open as it were on signal. Yellow stood there. She wasn't shivering. She wasn't scared. She was dry, calm, and smiling. I told you, said she in her smooth glass voice. I fixed it. I did step back instinctively. My foot had just splashed in a little puddle that I had not previously seen, beside the reactor core. I glanced down. I was able to see her in the reflection on the floor, but her reflection was half a split second behind her real motions. Black cleared his throat with a growling voice. Why is it known as a trust test, then? Yellow shook her head, with that smile on her face. Because you don't have any? No, come on, said Black and took a step. It is because counterfeiters are unable to pass it. Too smooth, too perfect, said she, laughing. You're overthinking things. The vent cover just behind her hissed open. The language slipped down my tongue, now I could not have stopped it. Where did you go prior to the reactor alarm? The smile on the face of Yellow did not falter. I was with you. That was the lie. That was the one. In a flash, Black moved. He banged the emergency room seal with his hand. With a blood-curdling scream, Yellow went completely dead, and we were left in a state of utter darkness. She vanished when they flicked on a second later. No body, no report button, nothing but a vent on the wall, slowly closing. Black glanced at me, but with an imperative gesture. We don't have much time. My ears were ringing with my heart. For what? I stammered. For the second test, he said. And when he talked, the slumping hum of the ship altered. It grew deeper, more resonant. It almost sounded amused. In the very metal heart of the Skeld, something had gone wrong, and I was able to comprehend, in the terrifying moment. It was not the trust test in determining whom to trust. It was about who survived it. And the next test? I was feeling that we should not be presented with an option.